back with more ancient cosmology, studying these Japanese Buddhist maps, and so yeah, let's see. Well, I've been studying like the well, let's see. I'll just start with the most recent shit because I'm not really positive what was in my last video. I should have just rewatched it first to be sure I'm not going over the same stuff. But let's see. Luckily, I seem to have found a new, I've seemed to have deciphered this as being Kodiak. So, I first noticed like matches. This is like Japanese Hellscape, one of the sections of the Jigoku underworld. So I at first thought this was Nunavak. It shows some kind of other land next to it, and the way that looks like Nunavak's position vis-a-vis the opposite shore. It's when you get into the details, it's clear that other one, that Nunavak was another panel, and that this is Kodiak. So, the main things I first noticed, like this island here behind their text, and then the shape up here, like this is kind of shaped like that peninsula, kind of, and then this skinnier one is like this, and then there's this other kind of two-pronged thing down here. So, and then this person's hair looks like, it could be water. A lot of times black hair is water, so it might be the water in this, inlet there. But it took me a little longer to flesh out more of the details. So because it also has these parts, like, the northern coast of it, or whatever part of the coast here is is shown pretty vaguely, but it's also shown more exactly via these avatars. So this bird's beak is this peninsula right here, and then this bird's beak is this peninsula right here, and then their wings, like the peninsulas between them, are partly their wings and partly these things that come out of their wings. So I don't know what those are supposed to be, but I think those relate to some of these other peninsulas and or some of these some other rivers around there, some surrounding rivers. So this is the one, I forget the name of this point something. So, it has the pointy beak, and then, yeah, it's the most obvious things, it has this orange kind of triangle there, probably is like the nostril or whatever that is there. But, it's pretty pointy, straight lines, other than this kind of bite taken out of the bottom beak, which is this right here. Like the bottom beak is the lighter strip of land here that's lower elevation right along the coast, but it only exists like from here to here and from here to here. Between here it's gone, so that's why they don't have a line, you know, they have a broken line. And the feathers, you know, just relate to the topography in here, no doubt. These two things are something in there. So this is the other one. So it's like this is the upper beak, and this is the line division between the upper and lower beaks. And yeah, and then there's just a bunch of and whatnot. So that one's fairly distinctive. So its beak is not super pointy, so it's kind of like the end of it is clipped off. So that's why they have some of this hair from one of the people obscures the tip of the beak, just to explain why there's kind of no tip on the beak. And there's like multiple hairs, so it seems like it may be showing that, you know, that the beak peeking through the hair represents some of these little islands around here. That's probably what that is. Let's see. Kodiak Islands. Yeah. So this is a little more of the bird's body. You know, I'm sure these mountains and whatnot relate to the feathers there. Not sure if this land is supposed to be part of this bird or separate. But yeah, so I think the islands that are formed by the clipping of the tip of its beak are like maybe right just along around here. Some little islands there. So yeah, this just shows like both of those. This one down here, not the best, clearest photo, but then this one up here. So their positioning, as usual, is kind of rearranged. So yeah, this just shows so people can see it's all one photo. That's this guy down here, this guy up here, Kodiak Islands, Alaska, 19th century Japanese Buddhist hellscape. So it seems to be, this is what I'm guessing this person is. It just it doesn't show their face, just their long hair. So I'm guessing this is their head, this is their hair, and their hair is kind of like, it's kind of swooping over to this direction. And technically it's cutting off the beak of this bird, and that this bird's head is this bird's beak is this, so it makes sense that their hair would be that. And then yeah, so I'm guessing this is somehow their arm or leg, or I guess that's an arm. And so it has this kind of shape of, you know, if the black is water, it has this kind of shape coming down. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure that's what that is. The human centipede. So I think it's like eating this dude's ass, or it's like, I don't know. maybe not, but it looks suggestive. It's definitely grabbing this dude's leg and like has her head on top of his ass or something. So I'm guessing like, yeah, like 1 is the hair, 2 is the head, 3 is that dude's butt. So it would be like, yeah, this peninsula or whatever you call that there. And then 4 is the waterway between his leg and her, or their arm. I think it's her arm. And that would just be this waterway. Certainly, you know, not the exact shape they show it as, but so yeah, it's like a human centipede hell, I guess. So yeah, I think this guy, I think his actual face is this, and then, you know, yeah, I think that's his butt somehow, and then that's this lady that's like munching on it or something. I don't know. Yeah. And for his arms, I'm not sure if they relate to stuff around here or it's like using them to represent larger parts of the island. And I'm not sure like where's her other arm or really like all the details of that. I mean, like this thing, it could be some skinny island here, it could be that other arm. This seems okay, so in this part is the wonkiest part, arguably. It's like the rest, like the top part, are pretty straightforwardly a match, but here it gets all weird. And so, you know, this guy, as I was saying, I think his face is actually this, so they're using his arms, you know, it's very stylized. Because one of his arms seems to be like way over here or something. But also, like, they don't seem to show like the major bay of Kodiak, which is Olga, or you know, they don't show it in a normal way. I mean, you could say maybe this is Olga, but then why is it way up here? Why doesn't it have the obvious huge channel? So my guess is that this is actually Olga, that it's like they flipped it retrograde, you know, left to right, so that instead of having the round part here and then the channel that way opening into the sea here, the round part is on this side and it just opens straight to the sea there. And so because it is like it delineates, and it would still probably be upside down or potentially upside down, but either way, you know, the other side of this is not delineated. So it may be that this weird line is that if you bring that up and attach it to here, then it forms more or less the shape of Olga Bay. You might have to flip it retrograde or something. So that's my guess. Olga Bay. So yeah, that it would be like that this little nodule there would be this thing here. And, you know, this part is this part. And then this part is like this part. But that this part here, the top part of it from this perspective, is delineated by this line, which you'd have to bring down and kind of attach to here, and then it would form more or less the shape. So like in esoteric cosmology, a lot of the time, or probably most of the time, things are not shown how they are. They're shown not only symbolically, but esoterically, to where you have to find out like how things were scrambled around to actually know how they really are. So this is that guy's head, face. So yeah, let's see. I guess you can't really see on this his Adam's apple very well, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't show it here anyway. But yeah, basically this is his chin. This is like his lip. He has a weird ass lip. This is like his upper lip, I guess, there, and his teeth probably. And his nose like doesn't have, like, the line on the bottom isn't continuous because of this bay here. And then his head is either like these two bumps here, or it's like this and this or something. And then all these lines coming from the eyes are like these lines that come out that way, and then the cheek line thing is like this, and probably this river. And the hair might be like, this hair seems to basically be topography, like these mountains. So yeah, this one you can see the Adam's apple, which arguably they flip retrograde up to down. They reverse it, but otherwise, and then they kind of course, shrink this huge gulf between the chin and the Adam's apple. But you can see the eye there. It's very colorful, you know, like I just increased the saturation and contrast, but these are basically natural colors that pop out of there. So I'm guessing the eyebrow, it looks like it sticks out a bit, so it probably goes from is this, and it goes back to this line or something. And then the eye has two lines coming back from it, so that's probably this line and this line. And yeah, and then the ear, it looks like it's either like in here or in here, some topography. Yeah, they don't really show like the wart or whatever on his nose, but they do show that his nose is pretty big and projects at a pretty high angle. So yeah, this just shows that. Eye, nose, mouth, lip, chin, Adam's apple. All right, so this is another hell. This is the hell of no limits. This is the one that comes after California and seems to include like all of like Central and South America and maybe the East Coast. So, but this panel is just one panel from that hell. So it has multiple sections in it. It's supposed to be the biggest of the hells. But yeah, so I'm not sure if this section has a particular name, but these upside down people, I think, are Papagayo, you know, the two prongs of Papagayo Peninsula in Costa Rica here. That this guy is this thing and that she's this thing here, and that these waves and whatnot are these, or whatever this is, boiling water or something. That's like just the topography in there, the contours of the coast. So Yeah, so this guy, it seems that whereas in this he's facing towards us, but in this he's facing to the side. He's facing this way. And so his knees that are out, like his legs are bent, his knees are out, his hands are on his knees. They're actually right here on the side because he's faced that way. This is his butt, this is his shoulder, his neck, his head, his and then his feet are like seemingly down here, delineated by some topographical contours, and then she's like this. She might be even more esoteric. Like I think at least this is part of her hair. This might be her face actually that's hidden here. And so yeah. That's those guys. So this, it's easier for me to recognize the human shapes from when they're right side up. So I just flipped them right side up. So, his head is like part of a thing, or, like his head turns into like some pole, and which is, it kind of does in a sly way because it's like there's these other lines that are going on here anyway, basically around and behind him, but then it just incorporates these two lines into his head. So it shows why his head sticks out, has like kind of sticks up into a pole or whatever. And it might even include some of the shallow areas that are off at that point. And so yeah, I think his mouth is somewhere in there. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, the neck is here, shoulders, I think these are the two shoulders. And then this is the other part of that panel. It's like a snake's head. And so yeah, this is what actually alerted me to this area being a probable, identity of this, the probable identity of this panel, because the snake head, well, I just remembered that the Göbekli Tepe people, they depicted this peninsula as a snake's head. So that's why I went here to see, is there any other connections between this? And there are, so I stuck with it. So it shows that the Buddhists are using the same cosmology and probably a direct tradition from Göbekli Tepe, or a shared tradition of Göbekli Tepe that's 12,000 years old or older. Old gods. So did I double post that one? So so yeah, here's these guys again, and this is the adjacent shoreline, which is like these waves or boiling water or something like that. Like I think they're being hung over a cauldron, cooked or boiled or steamed or something. So I don't know which exact parts are what, it looks similar, but at least it's something in there. This again is this point. It's called Nogoka Point on Kodiak. This bird with the bite taken out of its lower beak there. So maybe this is its eye, or I don't know. And then this is Kodiak, the other point on Kodiak, the other bird's head. And so it's got some nice feathers there, and the beak, and the nostril right there. The division between the two beaks here. And then this line kind of continues on, but there they kind of obscure that with this mess of darkness there. And maybe that relates to the low elevation here, who knows. And yeah, you can see his beak is cut off, and it is not super pointy. It's like a cut off beak. Don't die for Israel. This is the war pigs tearing down, crumpling up my posters. So here's so this is Papagayo Peninsula, Costa Rica. This is Cabo Santa Elena, basically Cape St. Helen or whatnot, St. Helena. So there's the snake. Here's the upside down people. Yeah. That shows them. It doesn't really show the other elements like the waves or the boiling water or whatever it is, but gives some idea of the general scene. Let's see this. This I'll maybe get back to. All right. So this, the other element besides the upside downies, the snake, and the waves or whatever, is these and these long things everywhere are these round things, whatever they are, like hairy balls, basically. So where are the actual hairy balls? There's like, I guess, just 3 of them shown there. But still, it seems like it's an important element. So I scoured the area for things that look like balls or hairy balls or something. And so got these. These are nearby. These are actually like a little further afield in over the Nicaraguan border, I think. But there's these little guys. There's a lot of little islands around that are relatively round. Because, obviously a lot of islands are not round at all. So when islands are somewhat round, they can be portrayed as that. So I don't know. These kind of look like round. They could be round hairy balls or something. I mean, there's probably 1 or 2 islands in particular that are especially reflected by that, but I'm just not 100% sure which ones it is. Could be this. Could be some of these guys. So, not all these islands, I mean, none of them are perfectly round, but since so many islands are really weirdly shaped, like even being somewhat round can be referred to as a round island. Like there are a lot of islands that are called round islands, round island or circle island or something, just because they're somewhat round. So I think a lot of these would qualify as that. And yeah, let's see. So this one, it seems that yeah, so there's this head. Here's the pole sticking out of his head. His shoulders, let's see. I mean, it's hard to know for sure, like which is which. But anyway, I think these are his two shoulders, his back, his butt, his legs, kind of. And this might also include his hair coming down and his feet down here. But like, so his knees are, like basically his knees are this and this, and then his hands that are on his knees are this and this. So the question is, which one is it? Like, I don't know. Like, it could be that this hand is this one because it has some similarities in the fingers. And that this one that kind of sticks out more to the side is this one sticking out right there before that knee. So, obviously these are pretty weird knees, but that's okay. Look at his neck. He's a weird guy. And his hair, like, I'm not sure where the bottom of his hair is, but probably somewhere down there. Yeah, so it's like covered by golf courses now, but I think the golf courses largely just conform to the, topographical contours. So this is my, this is trying to decipher this one. So I'm thinking that whereas, it's funny, like what they hide, just like how the tip of the bird's beak was hidden, which indicated, or, which was because it doesn't have a tip of the beak. This guy, his butt was hidden, but it was partly because of he actually has a huge butt, and that's actually his most anthropomorphic feature. So that, was either for prudence's sake or for some other like funny reason that they kind of hid his most prominent or one of his more prominent features. And they changed the angle, so it makes everything confusing. But this one, it's like her back is to us, so we just see the back of her hair, like the Kodiak woman or the Kodiak person. So yeah, I guess this could be a man too, because the other one is a man and has long hair. So usually in these hellscapes, the long hair is women, but I guess not always. So I'm guessing that here she's faced away from us, but here she's actually faced towards us. That this island here is her head, and that this island here is her hair because it's shaped like her hair, but that it's going up in the air and then curling around and then falling down and, being very long like this. So that's my guess that, there's no face here, so I can't compare that, but that the hair is number one, the two shoulders here, 2 and 3, that 4, this kind of part where it's, billows out and then comes in, and then there's a line that comes in and then goes out a bit, I think is here where it billows out, comes in. There's a line, which is a big river, Barbarian River or something like that, that goes down and then goes out a bit. So that matches there. And that basically is either delineates or is near the edge of this side of this edge of the body. Then 5 and 6, I'm guessing that the two hands, they're both faced the same direction. So this one, I'm, off the bat, I guess, is this. But number 5, the other hand may actually be on this side as well. So it may either be number 5 right here, this little part that sticks out, or, there's a chance it's even this bigger, peninsula or promontory or whatnot. And then the dress, I was thinking there's a chance that this tip of the dress is this part that sticks out just under the hand. But based on this whole shape here and where it goes in and then out, seems fairly deliberate, so it matches better to like here where it goes in and then out, and then there's kind of like this bay here, which could be the end of the dress or the end of the garment, and then the hair goes down below there, which could be this big river, and then the feet would just be delineated probably by that river. So yeah, and then the dark part that's around this person relates to the shallow area of water around them. And then also down here it relates to the fact that they're subsumed into this whole ass peninsula. So yeah, it's pretty esoteric. And so this is the snake. This is, how I first recognized the scene. So, obviously it looks a bit like a snake's head, and it was shown as a snake's head in the Göbekli Tepe 12,000-year-old Pillar 43. But it's, I need more to confirm that it actually is this. So we have that with these other lines that go around, like basically, well, I would say that this line here that comes out from behind the top of the snake's head probably relates to this little island or peninsula there. And then these two lines that come out from further along on the top of the snake's head are probably these, two lines, like this line of islands and then this peninsula. And then the dark part is just the kind of bay that they form between them. And so that really, to me, clinches it, because you wouldn't just expect to see like all these weird lines just on any snake's head. But in Cabo Santa Elena, it's there. Oh yeah, sorry. Hi, Giancarlos or Giancarlo. Somebody in the chat that I'm not super good at doing the live chat thing, but I'll try. So anyway, I think that I'm guessing his eye is this bay here, just because the eye is shown closer to the mouth than to the top of the head. And it's shown kind of long like that. So anyway, it seems to match somewhat that. I'll look at it closer later. Then, I'm not sure if this is really included as anything or not. But yeah, but I was thinking this could be the tongue, but based on the shape of the tongue, it seems like more likely the tongue is this little peninsula here, and that it's shown like way out, but it's actually in. And that these two teeth there, I guess, are these two little, peninsulas sticking out of there below the tongue. And so, yeah, and then this would, of course, be the lower jaw. And some of these little round islands around there. And then this line here, I think this is fire or smoke or something, seems to delineate the adjacent coastline. So that seems to basically be this, because it's showing that the kind of distance between the jaw and just basically the shape of that coast. So, I'm sure like you could, if I zoomed out more, I could probably see more of these details inside the topography there. So yeah, this is a 12,000-year-old god, possibly older, could be much older. 12,000-year-old earth spirit. Yeah. And so I've been studying like the fact that Buddha seems to be Mercury. Like Buddha in Sanskrit means Mercury. And then Buddha, who's supposed to be, the historical figure, is spelled a bit like slightly differently and pronounced slightly differently. But I suspect that Buddha is still Buddha, that Buddha is Mercury. And so yeah, I think, I'm not sure if I was showing in my last video that like I found, text that shows that Mercury acts as a pointer to the moon, just as Buddha is described as a finger pointing at the moon. And just as Thoth, who's the Egyptian Mercury, gestures towards the moon in some of the depictions. So let's see. And there's a lot of similarities between Mercury and the moon in their appearance. The fool Buddha points at the moon, but the fool mistakes for the moon. So that's like how the Egyptologist thinks Thoth is the moon, where really he seems to be Mercury. So Thoth pointing at the moon, Buddha pointing at the moon. So there's Buddha pointing at the moon, and Thoth gesturing towards the moon. And oh yeah, by the way, this is in this Cape Mendenhall demon of Nunavak Island, like his front toenail. Part of why I didn't see it in the first photo I took was because the line is not continuous here. And that's because the toenail is like the elevation and the width decreases in the middle. So yeah, like right here in the middle, it's skinnier and it seems like it's less elevation. So it might even be subsumed by water sometimes. So that's why they kind of like, They just don't show the middle part of it to indicate that the middle part of it goes in. It's a weird method of symbolism right there. But yeah, so anyway, like Mercury, acts as Mercury assists in charting lunar cycles, primarily through its role as a fast-moving pointer. So the fact that they actually call it a pointer, and the Buddhists depict Buddha pointing at the moon, is a pretty close parallel. Often appearing near the moon and sun during specific phases, facilitating tracking of monthly cycles. While Mercury has an 88-day orbit and the moon has a 29.5-day cycle, their relative positions in the morning or evening sky help observers map the waxing and waning of the moon. So basically pointing at the moon, proximity tracking, how Mercury helps chart lunar cycles. Proximity tracking. Mercury acts as a messenger, and Mercury is called the messenger god in pretty much every pantheon because it's the fast planet. Mercury acts as a messenger because it is often seen in the same vicinity as the moon and sun, creating a visual alignment that can be used to note the progression of the lunar phase. Morning and evening star. Okay, there's other stuff too, but it's pretty much like that. So that makes sense, that makes sense why Thoth and Buddha are like pointing at the moon, because they are used to chart the moon's cycles, to track its cycles. Okay, so yeah, this relates to that because, I was studying that, and then I'm also rereading the ancient Egyptian Book of Two Ways, 4,000-year-old Egyptian map of America and map of the whole globe, and like description and spells and whatnot. So I got to the part for the Western US, which is divided between our gatekeeper seems to be Vancouver Island, and then the gatekeeper for Mexico is Baja California. So those are kind of the borders, which are still our modern borders. A lot of the ancient borders are still modern borders because they're natural borders. So this is the spell that you're supposed to say when you pass Vancouver Island. I mean, it's presumably Vancouver Island. There's some chance it's Haida Gwaii, but I doubt it. But it has to be one or the other. And these spells contain knowledge. Like, these are like the Aboriginal Australian song lines that they sing, and they're able to even use like the rhythm of the song to know which way to go, to know the contours of the land or the water or whatnot. So I haven't really deciphered all that symbolism in here, but there's a little bit that can be deciphered. So yeah, as you enter the US from Canada, you pass Vancouver Island, you say, I am a spirit, which in Egyptian is Akh, A-K-H, which is translated various ways, but a lot of people translate it as spirit because it's used in a lot of the same contexts as spirit was used in Latin and modern, Western sources. I am a spirit, the Lord of spirits. I am an Akh, the Lord of Akhs. The Akh which I have begotten, it exists. The Akh which I hate, it does not exist. So Akhs are like all these gods, all these earth gods, they're all Achs. So it's saying like, I am basically, you become the things you're passing in order to pass them. So you basically become Vancouver Island or whatnot as some sort of anthrozoomorphic avatar, which they didn't actually depict there. And you're the one who creates them. So you're, the people who have these books, they're also the ones who create these gods, create these avatars, and destroy them when they're not useful. Replace them with new avatars. So the Ach, which I hate, it does not exist. I am the one who goes around his lake in flame, the Lord of Light. I make the circuit while the Eye of Horus is beside me. As for Thoth, he crosses the sky in my presence. I pass safely. So the Eye of Horus is the moon, and Thoth is Mercury. So this relates to Thoth and Mercury. I pass safely. So that relates to maybe some time that's safest to pass, or some way that's safest to pass. Because it's all about safety. And then these are like different translations, or different versions from different books of two ways. There's like 20, 30 books of two ways. I am a spirit, I am an Ach, the Lord of Achs. The Ach which I have begotten, it exists. The Ach which I hate, it does not exist. I am the one who celebrates the monthly festival and announces the mid-month festival. I have made the circuit while the Eye of Horus was beside Thoth at night. As he crossed the sky, his seat being my seat, I passed safely. So this refers to Mercury, Thoth, the moon, the Eye of Horus, and the mid-month festival. So since, I think Mercury is especially visible during those, it's used when the moon is small, like between the full moons, like at the mid-month, or I don't know. Anyway, I think it relates to that, to the fact that Mercury is used to chart the month, because month, means moon, basically. It's traditionally, months are based on the moon. So mid-month is like midway through the lunar cycle. And then there's another version from a different type of book of two ways. I am an Ach, the Lord of Achs. The Achs which I have begotten there, they exist. The Ach which I hate, it will not exist. I am the one who celebrates the monthly festival, establishes the mid-month festival, and examines the 8. So these are probably 8 gods. I am making the circuit because the Eye of Horus is not beside the followers of Thoth. So I don't know if that's a correct translation. It could be the opposite, that it's saying he is beside the followers of Thoth. Who knows? But again, it's focusing it on Mercury, Thoth. I have caused that it cross the sky that I may pass. I have not been afraid. Okay, so yeah, more evidence of, that the Mercury gods, be they Buddha or Thoth or Odin, were intimately connected to the lunar cycle and to mid-month, I think it's like it would be more visible during the during the mid-month time, and then it would tell us that the full moon was X amount of days away. So yeah, anyway, guess I'll leave it at that. But I'll just keep trying to figure out this panel, and so seems like basically I've figured out most of the panels of these hellscapes. There's about 30 or 28 or something of these hellscape panels that are all part of like the illustrated essentials of rebirth in the Western Pure Land. Japanese Buddhists, from I think these panels are from the 1800s, but it's based on they're illustrating a book that's from the 900s. So, yeah, I think like I've now deciphered at least some major part of most of the hell panels, most of the like 26 or 27 or 28 hell panels, and then I deciphered, of course, the Europe and the Asia panel for the most part. So I just have like a few more panels to go, like a couple more of the hellscapes and a couple of the other realms, like the animal realm and some of the others that I have to flesh out more. But anyway, at least making progress. It's like the most ancient maps that I've been able to decipher in such a short amount of time. Although technically you could say it's all one map, so it's really just taken me over a year to try to decipher one map. But since each panel of it is a big ass page of details, it takes a while. Anyway, but I do think it's cool that they have the same Göbekli avatar, and that, may very well descend from Göbekli itself or from whatever the Göbekliites got this avatar from, got this idea, tradition from, of, rendering Costa Rica's Cabo Santa Elena as a snake's head, because it especially relates to the nearby lake, which is Nicaragua, which is like the snake's body, or that the body is like the land that surrounds the super round and huge lake. But in this case, they don't even focus on that. They just only focus on the head, whereas in Göbekli, they show both the lake with the body around it and the head. But anyway, thank you and take care.